A Christian and politics is a very important topic to deal with because of 3 reasons. Number one, like you've been seeing, every time people come together and they have to be organized, that organization and leading and deciding how things will be done and creating policy is called politics. So therefore, it is not difficult, it is impossible to do without politics. And so you can, if you are a Christian or non-Christian, you will certainly be involved in politics. What you can avoid is dirty politics, but you can't avoid politics altogether. Number two, we have seen that if Christians pull out of politics and leave it to dirty politicians, it means that a lot of time they will be playing catch-up game because policies have been done, wrong policies, wrong laws have been done. Why can't we be where the designing is being done and influence that position? And that's why we need Christians at every corner so that we can influence for God, for kingdom, God's kingdom values to be seen in the society we live in. And so it will be important that some of us enter into that place. And thirdly, because you need to be involved in politics because that's your calling. God has called you to it. To fail to enter politics will mean you have simply been rebellious, because that's God's calling in your life. And anything else you are doing may not be what God called you, and it's not good to be a rebel. But one big problem, many Christians who enter into politics, either backsliding, either dishonoring God, and it made our people, if you want to go to heaven, keep off politics. Maybe that's similar to the monastery issue, where some people disappear to a hidden place where they can now be holy, because it's impossible to be holy when you're with the dirty people. That's not the scriptures we know. Jesus came from heaven, knowing he's coming to a rebellious earth, an evil world. Yet we are told when he came, he was tempted in every way, yet without sin. And so clearly, the scriptures do not discourage us get involved in anything that is good, even if the process is going to be difficult. And I think that's something we need to emphasize. But the concern is real because it's based on experience of many, many people that have gotten to backslide or to go back, and they never walk with the Lord when they entered into politics. But of course, there are several possibilities. We have looked at some of them. One of them is power got into their head. There's no way you can be a godly person once you don't recognize that all power belongs to God. And any little power you have is delegated from God. You have to do it God's way. So that's something we can handle. Second problem is peer pressure. But peer pressure will be everywhere. Once you enter into politics, your peers will be politicians, evil, dirty politicians. But unfortunately, even if you go to business, it will be the same. It doesn't matter where you go, you will have to tackle peer pressure. But that's one of the things that... But thirdly and importantly is busy life, where your life is so busy, you have no time to pray, no time to fast, no time to retreat, no time to attend church, no time to be in Bible study groups, no time to, but if truth be told, politicians are not the only ones who get into this problem of prioritizing and creating time for their spiritual growth. People in business, people in professions exactly do the same. So, but those are some of the issues in my mind that will get you out of your way. But I think the final one is simply not having good friends. First Corinthians 15:33 is saying, don't be deceived. Bad company certainly spoil your character. In other words, it's a decree. If you don't have Christian company whom you spend time with, you go out there, you do all the things you do, with all those dirty politicians, but you have another group that are made up of friends. So when you are there, you are in evangelism. When you are in this group is where you can grow and have a prayer group. I think that's so. I think the one thing that can get you to that is that lack of Christian friends whom you spend time with will cause you to end up going the wrong direction. But you still have to ask the question, how can you be both a successful politician and a successful Christian at the same time without any of the two suffering? I think first of all is to check, are you really called to this? You know, certainly not all of us, but some of us who are called to become politicians. Just like not all of us are called to be engineers, or not all of us are called to be doctors. There are people who use at the sight of blood, they can't stand it. So it needs to be clear, even politics is not for everyone. And if you go there and that's not your calling, there will be problems. And it's important to understand that God may have selected you, use you in society or campus, if you're a student, whatever, to become an influencer that will transform that group. What is Matthew 8:9 saying? It is saying, for I myself am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. I tell this one, go, and he goes, and that one, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does it. In other words, the guy is saying, I'm a man of influence. There are people who do things my way. That's what politicians are. They are people of influence. But not all of us are called to that. Let me look at a few things for the successful politicians I've seen. What can make you know this guy could easily be a good politician who can also be a good Christian? Number one is that you must be a people person. What is a people person? This is a person who enjoys being with people. They do not like being private too much. Their happiest moment is to be with human beings. It will be very difficult for you to be a successful politician if you don't enjoy, not just survive, but enjoy being with people. If you discover you are the type of a person who can only be with people if you must, because you actually want quietness and solitude most of your time, you want the kind of work which you can do on your own, there's nothing wrong with you, but certainly God has not called you to politics. If that's what you feel, you need to be the opposite of that. You need to enjoy working with people. You like projects where others are involved. You find it very good to team up with others. And although you have your moments of quietness, that's not your happiest moment. If they're that type of person, then you might be potentially a politician. You know, why do you need to be a people person? Because you must have an ability to manage private time. You know, the people, many of the political positions are elective. The people who elect you think they have a right on you. Hey, I voted for you. So for you to be a good politician, who is also a good Christian, you must have not only be a people person, you must also be a person who has the ability to manage your private time. You are able to create boundaries. You know, if I'm to talk about the politicians I know, the people around you feel like you have no right to your time. Their mother dies, they think your money should be the one burying their mother. Their father is sick, they think your money is the one that should be paying for the bills for the father. And they themselves have money. You know, if you are like that, and you are unable to have boundaries, this money is my money, I will give only this much to others, This is my family. My family time cannot be given to the public. I'll give public this amount of time. If you don't know how to keep boundaries, something will give in. Either you'll not be a good Christian or you'll not be a good politician. You know, the third thing I want to say, we have said so far, you need to be a good person. You need to have a person who is able to create and keep boundaries. But I think thirdly, it is important to understand, who have you married? You can marry someone who will not allow you to be involved in politics because of his or her temperament. Your spouse matters. It matters who your spouse is for you to do well in politics. Are you understanding that once you are a politician, your children are not just people who think they are your children, are not the ones, just biological ones. Others think the same. Every child in your constituency, if you are a member of parliament, becomes your child. Whenever they have a problem, they come to you. It actually then matters who you married. Because if you married an insecure spouse, your involvement with others will give them sleepless night, and the moment they have sleepless night, you also not get any sleep. You need to check, do you have a person who is secure? Are you married to somebody who is secure, who trusts you, and are you also trustworthy? So that gives security to your spouse. I think it will be important to understand, even if you're able to keep boundaries, if the other person doesn't trust you, even the little time you have given to the public, despite giving her or him enough time, they will not be satisfied. They'll be seeking for ways and means of checking you up. The story is told of John Wesley marrying a woman late in his life who was totally insecure. So he goes and he was on horseback for most of his time, moving from village to village all over England. One time she started to become suspicious. Those women who are with him preaching, what are they doing? She went on horseback all the way to where he was, found him on the pulpit, took him and beat him up at the pulpit. Of course, the story ends very well because he never fought back. He was beaten. When she was tired, she went back to the horseback and rode home. He woke up, dusted himself, and turned down and said, as we were saying before I stopped, and he continued with a sermon like nothing has happened. I hear the impact of that was bigger than he had in the previous preaching, because they now saw what he was preaching, he practiced. But of course, it still meant that his preaching and evangelism everywhere was hurting the insecure wife. So it's important to ask yourself, who do you marry if you want to be a successful Christian politician? The other thing is, you need a generous heart. For you to be a successful Christian politician, you need a generous heart. Are you the type who, every time somebody comes when you are just about to take tea, you wonder, surely, should I hide it? Why did he time it like this? If you are that kind of person who doesn't like sharing your life and your things with others, you can't be a good politician. But there are people who are created to enjoy sharing. They just like enjoy being with people, they enjoy sharing. You have to keep reminding them that they have few things to do, so they do not give all the money. They enjoy when people are around them, when people are asking them questions, when people are asking for help, they really enjoy it. And they feel something whenever they give. They feel excited. Is that you? Then it means God has prepared you to be a successful Christian politician. But if you don't enjoy sharing your resources, politics is not the place to go. You could end up, you give, but you feel terrible. You will not enjoy your life. But the other thing that I think will be important for you to be a politician, you have to be a generalist. You need to have an opinion on many issues in society. Especially type-minded who say, this is my career, this is my area, I don't want to know about others. You can't be a politician, because once you're a politician, you'll be coordinating all kinds of professions. You need to know something about it. You know, there are people who have only an opinion in one small area. They don't have opinion on things. You ask them, when you want to go to Kakamega, do you use the right gate or the left gate? He doesn't care, doesn't even bother to find out. He has no opinion. Certainly not a politician. A politician is a person who is interested in many things, and because of his interest, he gets to know information from many angles. A politician always has an opinion on almost anything. God has prepared some people to lead and others to just want to follow others. If God has called you to follow, He still has a wonderful job for you, but it's not politics. In politics, you are going to be forced to have an opinion on anything that's trending. So you have forced to read widely, to check information very, very, very widely. And next subject, I think that is very important for a Christian politician, is ability to live within your means. And related with this is the ability not to feel like you must compete with others. You are yourself. Like me, hate me, this is who I am. If you don't have that kind of thing, people move you around until you are totally confused. So it will be important to become a kind of a person who has, you know who you are, you sell who you are, and you stick with who you are, despite the possibility it could lose you votes. But related with that is what I'm calling ability to live within your means. If you are given your pocket money, I assume you're a student. Let's say your parents have given you 1,000 shillings. If it cannot even, and that's a three-month semester, if it cannot even end the first month, you certainly don't have the ability to operate within your means. Because what will you do with the other 2 months? What do you normally do? People borrow, people do all kinds of things. Some, of course, may even be stealing. Please don't enter politics because you end up in prison. A politician, a good Christian politician, is a person who knows this is how much I have. Whether you like it or not, this is where I'll live. I'll drive a car I can afford, even if it does not impress you, because I live within my means. You know, if not living within your means, you end up borrowing because you want to give more than you have. So, and you justify yourself, I took that money and I was only going to, it was only for my children, I was going to give it. You are robbing Peter to pay Paul, but you're still a robber. You still end up in prison. You know, politics is dangerous because the wrong people went into it. People who could not live within their means, and so they end up being corrupt. In fact, politicians are not supposed to live just within their means. They are supposed to live well below their means because they have a lot they need to give. Millions of politicians have no apology about being corrupt. Why? I'm only corrupt because all these people are asking me for money. How can they expect me to have money if I do not find ways, clever ways of obtaining this money, which of course the clever ways are the corrupt ways. Remember, we are talking about a Christian politician, one who will be successful in politics and yet will be pleasing to the Lord. The moment you can't live within your means, corruption, it will be knocking at your door. There will be problem with your integrity. I think the next thing I want to talk about is, do you lack self-discipline? Do you lack self-discipline, because that will be something that will be very, very, very important. Do you lack self-discipline? Because if you lack self-discipline, obviously you will not accomplish much. What makes politics difficult to practice, I think, are three or four things. Number one, because you are one guy and your constituency could be having 100,000 people. Each of them, maybe since you won, 70,000 of them voted for you. Each of them has a right on your life. My friend, it will require a lot of self-discipline not to spread yourself thin, given that you really would like to do a good job of that. That's what makes politics very, very, very difficult. Number two, I think it's because of the issue of party politics, what you call hard behavior. You know, you are in a hard, and there's certain ways our party operates like this. You need discipline enough to know, although I'm a part of this party, I don't agree with this, I will not enter. There will be sanctions against you. You are ready to pay the price. That's what we call self-discipline. So, and that's what makes politics difficult, this hard behavior. Because you are working in a group of people, you end up feeling like them, doing things like them. You know, and it can be quite a real problem because you are in this hard. Then you discover that you have to go for a retreat to Naivasha or to some place as a group of people. Then you discover all the others have come with a girl, a concubine of some sort, or some young girl. And you are the only one who has come with nobody to warm your bed. They already have wives back at home. And they all make fun of you. What's wrong with you? We are earning enough. Why can't you do it? Initially, you say, no. Then after some time, they tell you, if you're just shy, we can get you a girl. My friend, it will require a lot of self-discipline if everybody around you is doing it for you not to do it. And like we said, a lot of politicians are dirty. Don't be with them. So that's what makes politics difficult. This party behavior, group behavior, because politics has to be done with others, and it'll be difficult. So since you still must do with them, the critical thing will be self-discipline. I do that, I don't. Until your group will respect you. When you are doing serious business, they will invite you. When they want to relax, they will leave you in your room. And then you are disciplined enough to know what to do when the others are having a night out and they leave you in your room on your own until tomorrow morning when the meeting is going on. That will be something that you have to deal with. And I think that's what makes politics difficult. Thirdly, politics makes it difficult because of the title, honorable. You get used to a title. You even get offended when somebody calls you Mr. Nganga. No, I'm Honorable Nganga. My friend, that title is not you. You are still Brother Nganga. The title is a job you do, and you are not your title. You know, some people think they are human doings, not human beings, because what you do does not define you. But in a lot of cases, politics exists, and we are the problem. We honor them to the extent we make them put in a pedestal somewhere. That is the beginning of problems, and politics does that. That's why we officially have to call them honorable member of parliament. And as we call you honorable, sometimes you don't think you are special. You are not quite human, and your discipline starts to suffer, and that will be quite a problem when your discipline suffers. So you need to understand clearly that this honorable, raising you to a pedestal, is going to be your problem. But self-discipline makes you remember it's just a way of dealing with them. You are not them. It's actually similar to a bank manager. A bank manager is looking after $1 billion or $2 billion for the bank. And yet, the wife told him to go home with milk. And looks at his account, looks at his credit card, and he realizes they would have to drink tea without milk that night. Why? He has no money. It requires a lot of discipline to be looking after billions. And yet you can't buy 100 shillings worth of milk. But your discipline will tell you, no, that's not my money. So a politician will need the wisdom to differentiate power. Understand, people can honor you, but this is a temporary thing. That's not you. And self-discipline is a thing that will help you there. So I believe politicians get into a lot of problems because of that power game, where you feel like you want to prove that you still have that power, because they are raising you up, and you want to believe that you belong there. You are somebody very, very special. But I think the next thing that gives politicians a very hard time as they actually practice their politics is a temptation to paint the other side black. You feel like the only way your party can be praised is to lie about the other party. My friend, there's Kiswahili saying, kizuri cha kiuza, kibaya cha kitebeza. Now, my friend, it will be very important to understand that saying is saying, if you really have good programs, you have something to sell as a political party, you don't need to lie or say anything against the other people, because people can see the difference. Now, my friend, you can't call yourself a Christian politician and lie to us about your opponents. It will be very, very important to understand that of necessity, it will be, you will have to, of necessity, have to speak the truth. You have two alternatives. Either you say nothing about those other people, or if you have to say something about them, my friend, simply say nothing. Because if you say something, you end up sinning against God. So that's what we are saying. You require a lot of self-discipline if you are going to talk politics without painting your opponents wrong and saying lies about them. But it's the same thing with you. How will you not exaggerate things you have done? How will you not exaggerate what you are likely to do? How will you not exaggerate what you say when you want to win people over? It requires a lot of self-discipline. The temptation will certainly be there. I can understand. But because you are a Christian, how will you discipline yourself? The Spirit of the Lord. That's Galatians 5:22. For the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. For such there is no law. The 9th part of the fruit of the Spirit is self-control. And so it will be very important to understand that for you to be a successful Christian politician, you must be filled with the Holy Spirit. So the fruit of the Spirit is the one that will give you victory. To be in the thick of things. Like there's a church in the book of Revelation, the letter of the 7th church, that says, I know where you are, where Satan has his throne. And maybe politics is exactly like that church. But what God says about it, they have been able to withstand. The fact that they are where Satan has his throne has not made them compromise. They are still walking with the Lord. And it will be very important to understand that if you really want to be a successful politician, it will be critical that you surrender yourself. You know you can't on your own. It's not humanly possible. But you know with the Spirit of God, He will give you the fruit of the Spirit that will help you to be a success. Therefore, you'll be a successful Christian, honoring to God, winning people to Jesus Christ, discipling them, but at the same time, you will be doing good politics. Thank you.